Hello team and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today in a 3v4 between Tomahawk in blue, Romad Quantum Scientist in red, and Snow in orange. Against a team of 4 being Leo.Catch in teal, Lewis 3452 in pink, Corbs on the Cob in green, and TW in purple. I believe the team with 4 players, this game may have been some of their first, or one of the very first games that they've played. Tomahawk, Romad, and Snow have been around for a while. And so we're going to see a 3v4 right from the get-go. This is Alpha Team right here. All together. Snow to the top left, Tomahawk in the center, and then Romad in the bottom right, going for an immediate city start. So Red's going to have a lot of eco. Tomahawk's going for 3 tanks and an airport. Very energy heavy start. And then Snow's got a town, some industry, and then going for 3 factories. And the first factory is building artillery pieces. So Snow actually has another mining site in the mountains. And this is Alpha Team's vision. So Leo in the far left. Alpha Team doesn't know that Leo's here yet. And same thing with Leo if we go look at the vision. I guess Leo actually does see it at this point, that Snow is here. And on Alpha Team, or Bravo Team, pardon me, TW in the northern center part of the map. Lewis to the right, going for 2 factories, building artillery pieces and helicopters out of the airport. Far right is Corbs on the Cob. And this is top down what's going on. So Leo's definitely on their own on the far left. But the good thing for Teal here is that this is a pretty good position to be defensively because of all these mountains. So worst case, Teal could just dig in. And as long as Snow can't overwhelm Leo right off the bat, then Bravo Team still has the numbers advantage. We've talked about so many times how in team games, when one player gets knocked out and the teams become imbalanced, it's very difficult for the team with fewer players to actually win. And we'll see over time if that turns out to be the case in this game. Thomas got 3 tanks already heading towards Lewis's gas, the refinery there against this little lake. And it will take a little bit for Corbs on the Cob to get involved in the fight just because they're further away from Alpha Team. But once Green does get involved in the fight, then Lewis is going to have a lot of help. Definitely going to lose the first refinery, but that's okay. We'll see if the 3 blue tanks decide to go further towards the airport, or maybe they'll back up. It looks like the plan is to back up for Tomahawk and just keep the tanks alive, which probably makes a lot of sense. And Snow's in 2 little battles, fighting TW up to the north and then also Leo on the left-hand side. And Leo's got through this defensive line, which is really good for Green, and also winning this fight in the mountains. And really, to start off this game, Romad's not really going to have many units to help Alpha Team out with because of going for this city start. We could check all the ecos, but in a team game, it's just too difficult to do. So I'll have to switch through all the players, and I'll get confused and lost, and there's no point. The helicopter gets off the airport, which is good. Even if this tank destroys the airport, then the helicopter will survive. And Lewis is going to go for a second airport and start building. This is a depot, I believe, in the forest. Pink will very likely just rebuild this refinery again. And Tomahawk's now taking a big fight against TW, who also has 4 tanks. And TW going for these 3 factories, building a mixture of tanks and SAMs. And a 4th factory on the way. TW has a very safe gas here. It's kind of protected by the producers that sit in front of it. And credit to Leo, because Teal is pretty much just winning this fight on the left-hand side, putting down another barracks, which is really good. There's even some eco for Teal. And it means that Snow can't get involved in the center of the map. because all the focus has to go to the left-hand side. Tomahawk is losing some tanks, but growing the helicopter count. There's the 3rd helicopter on the way, being constructed right now. And the further that these purple tanks venture out without SAM coverage means the more value that the helicopters are going to be able to get. But that will change over time, as more SAMs show up from purple. Leo is still going for mostly artillery, so there's no SAMs over here. There's an opportunity for helicopters from Alpha Team to do some work on the left-hand side. But of course it's tough because Alpha Team is immediately outnumbered. And so Tomahawk wouldn't really want to send the helicopters over to the left while there's an ongoing fight here. Romad's infantry is now getting into the fight, and this is all the starting territory's worth of infantry for Romad, who now has producers down, these 2 barracks and a factory, and building another town. And top down, Bravo Team definitely has more territory. We'll have more eco just because there's 4 players. And I like this from Corbs going for bombers. In team games, if you can get, I mean in any game really, but in team games especially, if one player just gets a whole ton of bombers and can kind of macro up on bombers for a while, it becomes very difficult to stop without enough SAMs to cover it, and then ideally interceptors being the strongest counter to bombers. Romad's going to split this infantry army. Some of it's going to go up through this little choke, and the rest is going to go towards the center. Snow certainly is sort of stabilizing on the left-hand side. No real risk of yellow actually losing this fight, but it's not all that pretty, and this makes a lot of sense, I believe, from Romad to actually dig in and just plug up this choke for now, so that Alpha Team only has to worry about this left-hand side fight, this center fight, and then this part of the map, which over time Romad will take care of with the producers. Romad also has this refinery, has the dock in the south. I assume after maybe 1 or 2 more missile boats that Red will stop building naval units. Just because that body of water is not all, like, super big. When the Pac-Man style maps show up, then these boats would be super useful because they would just be able to pop out over here. And just, I mean, I guess they wouldn't be super useful. They can't attack any of the buildings, but certainly Pac-Man style maps are going to change the entire cylindrical worlds, I guess is the word for it. It's going to change how line war works. Very exciting. And for the moment, Tomahawk and TW just keep fighting with tanks in the center of the map. The longer that this goes on in this status quo is probably better for Bravo Team, because Bravo Team has more of the map. Corbs is continuing to cap the bottom right. And there's one city in the top right, there's a city on the far left, and then there's a city in the south. So if the map starts to split the way it is, there will be 3 cities for Bravo Team and 2 cities for Alpha Team. And eco-wise, it would be better for Bravo Team. And besides, like, I mean, there's 3 distinct fights going on left-hand side, and this one is kind of important. Tomahawk's helicopters, there's 4 of them doing a bunch of damage. You can see the green infantry shooting up at the sky because infantry can do damage to helicopters. In big groups, infantry can definitely take down a few helicopters. And here's an airstrip, a forward airstrip built by Luis with a teammate flag. So with this flag up, it just means that Bravo Team teammates can land their planes here. Presumably the idea is to start transferring some of the bombers and strikers from Corps, who has actually switched it up. There's still one airport going for bombers, and there's transport planes with these commandos. But this is a very important part of the map for both teams. There's the 2 refineries, which is important. It's also just in general in the center of the map. Airstrips have good range from that position. And we see that snipe from Lewis with one of the helicopters. 4 helicopters against 2 SAMs. They will get 1 more helicopter. One of the SAMs will likely fall. I don't know if the second one will. We see that the pink helicopters are on the ground because there's no energy for pink. Here comes this refinery again. And with some interceptor coverage, these blue helicopters will likely not be able to do any more damage. So far left we see that Snow has turned the tide of the battle and starting to push through the mountains. Leo has a defensive line but now going to start attacking. If Leo's falls on the left hand side, then I think Alpha Team will just win this very handily. But that's why we watch the game. Because it's a big mountain fight, it's a pretty decent artillery blob. There's no helicopters or planes for Leo at the moment, and there's no one that is really close enough to green to help out. TW is a little bit close, but with a bunch of tanks, so it's not a very good transit. Like, how are the tanks going to get to the far left? They'd have to go through all these mountains, they'd be super slow, or they'd have to push through towards Snow's main base. And that's not even considering that Tomahawk is still pushing heavily through the center. For Alpha Team, this is good. And if we look at it, blue is still a little bit boxed in the bottom left corner. But on the left-hand side, this is looking really good for Snow. It's always so difficult to push artillery through mountains because they're so slow. But it's just an overwhelming numbers advantage for Orange at the moment. Love this run by from Snow as well, with the infantry to get on top of the barracks. And I think at this point it's fair to say that Leo is in a little bit of trouble. They'll be very hard to defend. It's interceptors and helicopters from Tomahawk off the airport, making an entire round of SAMs at the moment, noticing that pink has a lot of helicopters. Pink and purple, I suppose. Or no, these are all pink? I don't know, sometimes it's hard to tell. This one's just a little bit damaged, I guess. And again, I would check ecos, but it's... I just have to flip through everyone. But for example, Leo's on 529 income, which isn't super good against this sort of push from Snow. The good thing for Bravo Team, though, is if Leo just holds this somehow, I think that Bravo Team's still super ahead. So Tomahawk's got these 2 interceptors here. There's some number of SAMs for Tomahawk as well, and this big round of SAMs for blue finishes up. So there's 4 blue SAMs out on the field now. Nice snipe from that interceptor. Helicopters, I mean, of course they have they're pretty low on HP. They're fragile units, but if you can use them effectively, they're very efficient. And now we see that Cobb is here. Corbs on the Cobb is here with the first few units. More on the way. And Corbs has got some eco in the bottom right and also building this airport to support this push. I should just go big picture. I mean, this is what most of the action is. Leo definitely in trouble on the left-hand side. I don't think anyone is going to be there to help. Probably at any point, from what it looks like. And Bravo Team is just going to focus on this right side of the map. There's good energy sharing now between Romad and Tomahawk. Snow doesn't have any energy units, so it's okay. Orange is doing fine in that regard. Why do I not know? Where did these boats come from? There's a dock here, was there not? And it's been destroyed, I guess? That would make sense. There's a transport plane on this airport, so Green's probably going to go for commando drops or attempt to out of that airport. And it's hard to say who's winning these fights. The lines are... I don't know if they're helping anyone looking at them. Players are in fact issuing commands. And this is starting to look more like a Sam tank fight in the center of the map. The bombers and strikers and one transport plane are on this forward airstrip. And Romad is going for a push. Red feels comfortable and confident that they're able to push this far. There aren't that many SAMs here for Alpha Team. But the pink helicopters are going to rotate to the center field, it looks like. And there's only 4 SAMs here for blue, so these helicopters might do a bunch of damage. But the most important thing to look at is this. And Leo's going to drop back. And there's still some mountain range. Leo's definitely in a lot of trouble. Not at risk of being knocked out of the game entirely, which is what happens when you lose all of your buildings. But it's sort of like a 3-on-3 at this point. We'll see what Leo does to try to get back into the game. If it's a fallback to the mountains and building some factories and digging in, or maybe it's just sneaky commando barracks in different places. And I wish we could see the ecos more easily. 5 factories all building tanks for TW, who has the energy to do this. Bravo Team has a good network of refineries hooked up with that energy sharing going on, and TW also building a refinery in this northern ocean has 1 sub capping. And this is the play. I like this from Leo, building in this corner location and then just going to save up a bunch of energy and then probably see 2 factories all building tanks, and then Green will just show up with some tanks to go for a big push. So at this point for Snow, and we're seeing it right now, is that Orange is going to start directing all the units to the center of the map, and this amount of artillery is just going to cap the left-hand side. Leo's going to drop back to this little choke point and build entrenchments, which will buy a lot of time. And here comes the planes for the first time. The mix of bombers and strikers from Corps. It's 4 bombers. Interceptors are deployed from Tomahawk. I didn't realize that the interceptors shoot their... I almost said torpedoes. It's not torpedoes. They're missiles this quickly. But as mentioned, interceptors definitely the best counter to bombers. SAMs are okay, but SAMs do most of their DPS with the machine gun noise that they put off, and the machine guns can't reach the bombers. The bombers fly too high for that, so the SAMs can only use their missiles. Roma's got a big blob of arty here. A handful of tanks for TW at a time going in and stopping this blob. And I have no idea how this artillery piece got behind this defensive line, but it did. And it's doing work. And top down, Snow making a lot of progress for Alpha Team on the left-hand side. Otherwise, the front lines have remained relatively static. Alpha Team's winning in the center, I'd say, here. But so far, Bravo Team is holding up on the right-hand side. And at this point, Corps has 4 transport planes and a bunch of commandos that are going to drop on the city. This is a really good play. Did that transport plane just fly over the city like at increased altitude? I've never seen that. It looks interesting. The commandos are getting a little bit derpy because this is an attack move and they're trying to walk along it. I don't know why. But I love that drop from Corbs. That's a really strong play. If destroying that city would be huge. I don't know if it's going to happen. Romad's reaction time here is super quick, and these 3 missile boats are going to prevent any more drops from showing up. If like all 5 transport planes flew in at once, they would get past the missile boats. At least some of the transport planes. But I don't think this is going to be enough damage. And also Tomahawk's here with the interceptor, so that's a good defense. Snow on the top left. Still capping. And Leo in the north starting to send out these tanks. Building 5, there's 3 factories, 3 power plants. And this is good, I think, from TW, sending all the tanks at once. Against artillery pieces, tanks do pretty good. Even when all the artillery pieces are pretty much deployed. So purple's going to be able to continue pushing. We'll see if these 4 tanks from Tomahawk can do a lot of damage. Tomahawk's actually got a lot of tanks. It is 6 factories building some mixture of tanks and SAMs. And yeah, this was close, but not quite, unfortunately. Good landing from Corbs, who's going to start taking back this territory from Tomahawk. So this is Corbs and Lewis taking on Snow, a little bit of Tomahawk, and some Romad. There's still not a ton of anti-air. I mean, the Romad's SAMs are back from the front in a perfect position to chip away at the bombers and strikers as they show up. And Corb's still building helicopters, some interceptors, maybe some bombers and some strikers as well. Nice play from TW with the tanks to jump on top of the SAMs. This is one of the main uses for tanks, to clear out the SAMs so that the Air Force can show up and do maximum damage. If all the tanks die, and all the purple tanks will die, it's hard to say how worth it this is, but I mean, it's going to be 7 dead SAMs, which is very good for Bravo team. And Snow's about to start showing up against this refinery, or rather this entrenchment. And top down. Nearly a split map situation, sort of. Leo's got the entire, or sorry, pardon me, Corbs has the entire bottom right of the map now. So Green's eco probably pretty decent. And TW puts down another factory. It's just a big line of factories that I assume are all going to be building tanks. What would be ideal for Bravo team is that if they could somehow force Snow to send units elsewhere instead of to the main fights. And I'd almost suspect at some point for Orange to maybe push through this defensive line and then show up from behind on this entrenchment line of Leo's. It's a very strong push from Alpha Team, and every bomber that goes down is a very big deal. Green and pink sorta holding here. But if the refineries start going down, then this is big trouble. It looks like Bravo team still has a lot of energy saved up. These 2 depots full. Leo's depot in the north still full as well. And 3 factory tank is pretty decent production. given the situation. Leo's really only got one territory left. This is also Leo's, but it's going to be capped shortly. And what else is going on is it's just a drop from Corbs here. This is going to be a very large army, and it'll be super sweet for green once they get here to be able to start attacking these reinforcements. So this big push from Alpha Team doesn't hurt as much. And surprisingly, no one's built a rocket in this game. Almost feel like you'd expect a rocket at this point, 40 minutes into the game. But everybody's playing clean, everybody's playing honorably, and I'm here for it. I love it. This is starting to get a little bit desperate. Orange's artillery blob is getting a little bit out of control, and unfortunately there's not much Air Force left for Bravo Team. And the amount of planes that are left, Bravo Team would have to launch them all at once. Leo's going to try to help out against this push, which makes a lot of sense. Bravo Team's kind of winning this fight, or at least stabilizing. But you can see just how much energy is being used by Leo with all these tanks. It is a very, you know, sizable number of tanks, and this depot is not connected to any of the teammates' energy sources. At some point, maybe they will be. And top down, Snow's still content just to start shelling away at this defensive line. There's no real anti-air, unfortunately, for green with this landing. It's only one helicopter doing damage right now. The interceptors do probably like negligible ground damage. But here are the tanks. Here are the tanks for Leo. And will they take on this big orange artillery blob? I'm interested to see the graphs after this game. The income graphs and the energy consumption graphs. All the different little graphs. I'm gonna move off of Leo because I think the beep beep of low energy is gonna show up pretty soon. That lovely sound. This is one of the problems, is that the defender's advantage for Alpha Team gets so much stronger as the further away these purple tanks get from home. But so far there's like sorta doing it, these purple tanks. If Tomahawk's tanks weren't here, I think that purple would actually be able to clean this all up. This fight's still wild. The one problem for Bravo Team is that all of Leo's tanks are now either destroyed or they're out of energy. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how those buildings exploded. But there's no more refinery, there's no more power plants for Leo, who's transitioned to 3 factories going for artillery pieces. Which can help, but it sort of means it feels like a 3v3 at this point. Somebody in the Discord mentioned in a suggestions forum that planes that get shot down, they should do like area damage when they explode or something. This interceptor hit this infantry like square in the face. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that point in Line War, but it would be cool. A little bit RNG, maybe. I don't know if that's a good thing. And I think this is the beginning of the end. And this looks like an Alpha Team win. This is very good. There's one SAM here for Leo, which isn't really quite enough to deal with the number of planes that that blue will be able to send. But it's only 2 helicopters. One of the helicopters will get shot down here. Okay, or not. Kind of surprised. And Snow's now through the defensive line and starting to build more economy in this town, and then 3 factories at this choke. Very strong. It's also very strong because now Snow can just fall back to this choke point and dig in the same way that Leo bought a lot of time by digging in here. Snow can do the same thing while protecting that left side from being capped. And this is a very good concave for orange. And red. Romad's got some artillery pieces here. The tanks are getting bunched up behind all these artillery pieces, unfortunately, for Corbs. And I think it's a good idea from Leo to dig in here, but it's just not going to be enough. There's too many artillery pieces for orange. But still a good landing from Corbs on the bottom right. Corbs, in fact, also has a city at the moment. And top down, front lines have remained relatively unchanged. The big difference is, of course, that Alpha Team has control of the left-hand side of the map, which is a lot of economy. And between Romad and Snow, there's definitely enough SAMs now to deal with whatever Air Force that Alpha or Bravo team is going to be able to show up with. But yeah, I mean, this is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful game. 3v4. You can check out this replay in the Match Replays channel in the Line War Discord. Of course, check out the Line War Discord if you have any questions on the game. You want to just see what's up, talk strategy, talk about how excited you are for AI, which we still don't have an ETA, but my excitement is growing. I can't wait. And then this game is now over. There's no way that Bravo team is going to be able to pull this back. Snow has enough of an army that this might just be able to win outright without any help. Tomac and Romad have a sizable army that's now going to apply pressure as well to purple and green. And it is just too many artillery pieces for orange. This was, I think, a very good attempt from Corbs to start opening up another front. If the city was destroyed, I wonder how much of a difference that would have made. And also wonder how much eco sharing is going on. Romad might be pumping a bunch of eco towards Tomac and Snow, because eco sharing is a thing in this game. If you share a border with one of your allies, you can share money with them. That refinery is destroyed for the second time in the game. And I like this this runaround from TW with the tanks. This is a good move to get on top of the SAMs. If the SAMs were magically all destroyed, then these pink helicopters would be able to chip away at those artillery pieces. Lewis is trying to dig in here on this choke point, but by this point there's already some orange and red units that are in the entrenchments. And without a rocket on the way, this is a big enough blob that would be hard to deal with. There's a lot of units being landed here. I think it's just that there's only 2 SAMs for green. If there's more SAMs that are able to show up, maybe the green army would be able to start intercepting all of these reinforcements, but at this point I think all of the units that orange has already at the front are enough to just end the game. And also, apologies if I'm swinging the camera around too much. It just feels like a lot's going on in the game. Multiple different fronts. I'm enjoying casting team games again. Team games are very fun. It feels like they're a lot more hectic. Personally, I mean, I prefer playing 1v1s, and I love 1v1s. Very happy that the tournament was still going on. The 1v1 tournament. But team games, very cool dynamic. And usually more, like, bigger battles on multiple fronts. This is a very wide push from Romad and Tomahawk. And without an enormous blob of tanks from purple to try to attack all at once, I don't think there's really much that can be done here. Snow continues to add production, also has a city on the left-hand side. And this town, super in trouble for Louise. Louise, also apologies to like every single one of the players in this cast and every other cast I've done if I've mispronounced your name. I very likely have. And then is it too early to start talking about it? Is there going to be technologies in the game? Is that the next thing after AI? I'm sure the devs wouldn't want to hear me start speculating on that after all the work that's going into the single player experience. But the town's destroyed, the ecos cannot look good. We can see that Louise is making negative 68 per minute. Corbs has decent eco. TW also in trouble with just how many units there are here. Most players except for Snow are actually pretty low on eco when it comes down to it. And that's just because Snow has the entire left-hand side of the map, including these towns and ports and the city and the port. Very fun game, though. I feel like the players were fighting with each other, like with the ally. Pardon me, with the allies a lot in this game, which is part of the fun. A lot of different multicolored units here in the different blobs. Snow and Romad fighting together on the right-hand side, and then all 3 of Alpha Team fighting together in the center here, which is unfortunate for Leo and TW. Essentially getting 2v3'd most of the game. And okay, that's what happens when the player is eliminated from the game. So Leo's out. Luis is also out. But now Snow will just continue pushing and taking all this territory, taking all this eco. I can already hear people screaming like, artillery blobs are OP, it's just all artillery. And, you know, join the Line War Discord if you want to make that opinion known. The sound we're hearing is Corbs starting to DC. I don't know why this happens in replays, that we hear this noise, but we do hear the noise. Corbs actually has a rocket on the way, but it will take quite a while for that thing to build. TW still has some buildings, so technically purple is not knocked out of the game yet. Because I believe it's about buildings, it's not about producers. The refinery and the depot will be enough to keep purple in the game. But it is essentially a 3v1 at this point. And in the comments, let's say what, you know, what sort of technologies you want. You want tanks that can... What are we doing here? What are we writing here? Is this toxic? What's going on? Hello? Is this saying hello? This is an H? Oh, this is a smiley face. I get that. I get that. Love? I don't know. I love the messages with the lines. But yeah, what sort of technologies do you want to see? Do you want to see MLRS style artillery pieces, tanks that can tow artillery or turn into like infantry fighting vehicles and move infantry around? There's also a bunch of other technologies that have been floated on the Line War website, on the roadmap. I know it's a long way out, it's fine, but just interesting. GG, well played all. All 7 of these players. And let's see these graphs I'm talking about. Income-wise for the teams, I mean, Bravo team was ahead, which makes sense because of the player advantage that they had. Energy-wise, Bravo team had good energy. That was sweet to see. Like, what else am I supposed to... Capital spending transfers? I don't even know what that means. Treasury. Anyway, GG. Well played all. I hope you enjoyed this cast. Again, as I mentioned, check out the Line War Discord if you'd like to learn more about the game. Ask about AI. Ask about strategies, whatever you want. Find a game in the Looking for Match channel. And I hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening. This is probably the first cast of 2024 as well, by the time I upload this. So Happy New Year. I hope 2024 is great for you. And thank you all for the support by liking, subscribing, commenting on the videos, just watching the videos in general. Very much appreciated. And we'll see you around. Peace.